time. Dear students, after a long time, we are here again to discuss something. You know that the corona pandemic situation is going too bad to worse. That is why, sorry, that is why we are confined to our respective homes, and I hope that you are all going with your studies, your lessons, your books, your writings, your practices. And today, for our honors second year students, I would like to discuss something on the history of English literature. You know that history of English literature is one of the most important courses of your syllabus, and as we fail to conduct ourselves in physical class, that is why we are lagging behind in some of our courses, and this is one of them in which we are lagging behind. That means we have a lot of lacks, shortage, and problems on this course. So from today, gradually or serially, I would like to discuss the various aspects, various techniques, various ways of studying the history of English literature. So our today's topic is history of English literature. English literature. You know that this course is not only important for your academic life, but also it is important for your service career. That means if you analyze the questions of various competitive exams of jobs, for example PHC or bankers recruitment examinations, you will see that a lot of questions have been taken from the history of English literature. So we should put the focus not only on academic angle but also with the angle of job or service career. So let us discuss the history of English literature. We know that history, what does history means? Apparently, if we say history means his story, history. His means a person. This person may be male or female. That means history will tell us the backgrounds, the facts, and many things of a person. Or again, if we define or try to define the word history in another way, we will see that his story, his story equal to history. History. So this story is history. This his means some person, and this person may be or must be from a place, from an area, and that is why history will tell us the story of a land, story of some persons, story of the works of some persons. And in fact, you should know, or we know that history history is closely related to literature, and literature has been with many things. That means his literature is the quoted tablet of more things, some other things, many things. For example, we are the student of literature, and what we will get in literature? In literature, we will get history, we will get philosophy, we will get psychology, that means these all are the things are included in literature. All other things are included in literature. So history is one of the most important aspects or subjects in our syllabus that matters a lot. So let us know the ways of study of history of English literature. This course must be studied by you some steps and some techniques, some ways that you can understand easily. So the ways or the steps of learning history or studying in English history, we must maintain or follow some steps or stages. So let us know the stages or steps of studying the history of English literature, or in fact we are going to take or learn the study map of history of English literature. So map that we can say to study history of English literature. English literature. So we will take some steps and stages how we will study our history discourse. We know that in our syllabus, in our second year syllabus, we have 8 different stages or ages or periods. So every period must be studied in a systematic way. Let us know the steps to study the every age. Understand? At first, we will try to study the title of the age. Title of the age. That means every age has a title. Every age has a title, and we must analyze the title of the title of the age. For example, we have a romantic age. Romantic age. So romantic age. Why is the age called romantic age? We must know. We must learn the reason of the age, title of the age, and we should know that the age of English literature is named, the age of English history of English literature is named after sometimes according to the theme or the spirit of the days, and sometimes by the ruler of the days. For example, we will have a period named Victorian period or Victorian age. Victorian age. Victorian, that means during the time Queen Victoria was in the power of England. That is why the name was given according to the name of the ruler of that age, because Queen Victoria was the patron or matron of the age, literary age. And this age, romantic age, this age indicates that this is not the name of a person, but this is the name of the spirit or the theme of the whole literary age or period of that time. So this is thematic name of the days. This is the name on the basis of the ruler or the king or the queen of the days. So it is very much important for us to analyze the title of every age. So, title of the age, or analyzing the title of the age. And after analyzing this title or every title of English literature, we must know the second thing. The thing is that the duration of that age, duration of the age or of the period. That means we must know the duration, time period, time span of that age. Time span of that age. For example, romantic age, if we say the romantic age, romantic period, what is the time span? The time span of this age is 1798 to 1832. So this is the time span. And some other ages may have also some sub ages. For example, the Renaissance age or the Elizabethan age has some other sub ages also. So during the study of time span or the duration of the age, we also notice the sub ages of that main age. Understand? So duration of the age is the next step to learn or study the history of English literature. And then we must know the ruler or kings or queens of that period. That means we must know about the ruler of that period. Who was the ruler? Who had been the king or the queen of that age? We must know. For example, the Elizabethan age. We must know about Queen Elizabeth. How she came into the power of England. How she faced the various problems between the Catholics and the Protestants. How his father was in conflict with the Catholics, although he was at first in favor of the Protestants. So in this way, we must know the facts and documents of the rulers or the kings or the queens of that period, and it will make our course easy to understand. And next thing is that after knowing the rulers, the kings or the queens of that period, we must know the social, the religious, the political, and the economic condition of that age. It is very much important to know that what was the social condition, the religious condition, the political condition, the economic condition of that age, because according to Marxist theory, literature is greatly influenced with the economy, the social facts and factions, the religious condition of that age. So, according to Marxist criticism, we must know the social, the religious, the political, the economic background of that age, and in this way we will try to understand the various difficult texts of various famous writers. For example, if we study the epic of Milton named Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is written by John Milton on certain perspectives of the politics of England, the religious condition of England, and other conditions of England of his time. So the political background of Milton, the political condition of England of Milton's time will greatly help us to understand Paradise Lost. Understand? Another text, for example, if we study the novel by Dickens, Charles Dickens, that is A Tale of Two Cities. The Tale of Two Cities is a historical novel. It is directly called a historical novel because the novel is written on the actual history of French Revolution taken place in 1789. So history will greatly facilitate us to understand literature. So it is our duty to know the historical or the political and the religious condition of the period of the writer. Since this section, this fourth section is very much important to know the core elements, items, or the gist of the literature of any age. So, this is another one thing. Let us know the other things to study the study of English literature. We must know the famous writers, famous writers of that age, famous writers of that age, famous writers we must know. For example, if we know the famous writers of Romantic period, we may know that William Wordsworth, uh, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Percy Bysshe Shelley, John Keats, Lord Byron, William Blake, etc. That means we must know the famous writers of a literary period. For example, that we have said that Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley, Keats, Byron, Blake, they are the famous writers of Romantic period. So we must know the names of the famous writers. And another example of another age that we may take, that if we want to learn about the Victorian age, we must know the famous poets of Victorian age. For example, Robert Browning, Arnold, Tennyson. They are the famous poets of from Victorian period, and there are also some famous novelists of Victorian period. For example, Thomas Hardy, Charles Dickens, three Bronte sisters, George Eliot, etc., etc. So we must know every famous, every big writers of the days. At the same time, the minor writers also must be studied, also be known to us. So the major or the minor writers of every age we must study. So it is our duty to know about the famous writers of that period. And then we must know the famous writings, famous writings of the famous writers, famous writers of that period, of the period. For example, Elizabethan age. Elizabethan age is one of the most important ages of English literature, and in that age there are some poets, some dramatists are there. So who are the poets of that age? So we must know the age of the poets of this age. We must know all the dramatists of this age, and we must know that who are called the university wits of this period, who Shakespeare is, and what are the writings of Shakespeare, how many sonnets has been written by Shakespeare, and how many dramas have been written by Shakespeare. What are the comedies, what are the tragedies, what are the tragicomedies of Shakespeare? So we must know all the things. That means the famous writings of famous writers. And another thing, side by side, you should know that the famous work of some famous writers. For example, the detailed stories and the detailed characters and the significance of the writings. As for example, if we study the modern age, we will get the name of the famous modern poet Thomas Stearns Eliot. And T.S. Eliot has a famous poem named The Wasteland. And what is the theme of the poem and how many sections are there, who is the protagonist and what is the theme of this poem, we must know, because you will have or you may have some question like this, that write a short essay on the wasteland, or write a short essay on the Gulliver's Travels. So Gulliver's Travels, who has written this text? We know that Jonathan Swift has written this text. And how many parts of books are in the book? There are 4 parts, and this is one of the famous satires in English literature written by Jonathan Swift. This indicates some social satire, moral satire, political satire. There are many kinds of themes and purports of this book. So we must know some significant work of some significant writers of every period. For example, if we study the age of Chaucer, the masterpiece of Chaucer is the Canterbury Tales. So, what is the theme of Canterbury Tales? What is the background of Canterbury Tales? Who are the major characters? The famous text, famous writers, and the theme, the perspectives, and the background of every writer and their writings. In this way, we will try to study every age, and we must have this systematic process when we will go to study this text or the ages of English literature. And we know that there are only 8 ages. 8 ages. For example, the first age of English literature is the Anglo-Saxon period or Old English period. This age uh, is the first and foremost age of this history of our English literature, and we must know that why this age is called the Anglo-Saxon, as Anglo-Saxon period, who are Anglo-Saxons and Jutes, and how, when, and why did they cross the North Sea and invaded England, and who are Britannic, who are from Germany, who are from Northman, and what is Normandy. That means all the things will be automatically included to your study if you go through this ages in our systematic steps or stages. Understand? So, so you must follow the map to study of history of English literature. You must not study any age in a haphazard way. Understand? You must not adopt the toss and pass method, because history is a big thing, and that is one of the most important aspects of our literature. So anyway, from our next discussion, I will try to discuss the first age, the Anglo-Saxon period or Old English period. The time span of this period, we know that 450 to 1066. So, what happened during this time? Who were the kings or the rulers of the time? Who are the writers of the time? What was the condition of England at this time? So, you should study on these facts so that you can understand these items very easily, and you can share your ideas with me, and I can also share my ideas with you. And till then, stay blessed and study blessed. That I have always said, and I will always say, study best and stay blessed. Thanks to all.